For Honor's release date comes closer and closer, and we get more and more information. So I'm going to give out the span of information that we've had over the last couple months on heroes, the map designs, and a few other things. So starting out, we've got some gameplay of the Shugoki, which is one of the samurais, and as it appears, obvious enough, he's going to be a tank class, and not only does it look like he can absorb a lot of damage, it looks like he can deal it right back at you. Next up is the Warlord hero, and he's part of the Vikings. Now this guy looks like he's going to be a very offensive kind of attacker, and he's got the shield with him as well, so he can block attacks as well as deal them very easily. So it looks like he's going to be very well when it comes to close-up combat. Next up is the Peacekeeper, and it looks like she's going to be a very agile hero. It looks like she's going to be able to maneuver around you very easily and slowly pick off your health. Now, what was mentioned about her is that she's able to cause bleeding. Now, if you're a Dark Souls fan and that's what turned you on to this game, you're going to know that your bleeding effect is kind of different from this one. This one acts more or less like poison, so as you damage them, their health slowly drains out, kind of like poison. Moving on, we're going to get into the maps. And it looks like what we've got so far is that there's 2 maps for each faction. The Knights have 2, Citadel Gate and Cathedral. The Samurai have 2, Overwatch and Forest. And the Vikings have 2, River Fort and Canyon. Personally, I think the Viking ones look the best, but we're going to go through all of them. So starting off, Citadel Gate is basically just like the outside of a castle. So there's a bunch of like stone buildings all around. It looks like you got a big courtyard where there's probably a lot of action going to go on there. It's pretty decorative, obvious enough. There's going to be a lot of like flags for your knights and everything, showing their support for their own faction and all. But it looks like there's going to be some maneuvering around certain areas. There's some gates, maybe you can interact with them, I don't know, but we'll see what happens in that map. The next one is Cathedral, and this one obviously looks like the inside of, well, a cathedral, or more or less like a church or something like that. And it looks like there's going to be a few staircases for some second floor combat. There might be some combat going around through some tunnels, but this picture doesn't really give us too much on it. Moving on to the Samurai, their first map is Overwatch, and it kind of looks like the outside of a very important kind of building. And there's some bridges that you can probably throw people off of, which is where some combat might take place, where people will get some advantages. There's going to be some battle, most likely below the bridges, possibly inside some of these buildings. Maybe if there's more map on the other side, that's where they'll go. Forest looks more like, if you're a Call of Duty veteran, if you ever played Bonsai, it kind of resembles that, because there's underneath the bridge, it looks like there's a bit of a river running through. There's obviously the bridge, there's the Shrine Tower, I believe they're called, is what it looks like. There's probably going to be some combat in there if you can go inside. Obviously, it looks like more or less a very outdoorish kind of map, so there might not be too much combat inside buildings, because you don't really see too many around. Moving on, we're going to go to the Vikings. River Fort, this one personally looks like it's going to be my favorite. It's like the outside of a Viking village, maybe a little bit inside too. You can see a ship part. I don't know if that's like the edge or something, because I believe I saw in a trailer one of the Vikings was standing there in a place that looked like this. But you've got like the nice little stone huts, houses, got all the wood construction, the walls and the buildings and all around there surrounding it. Most likely going to be more outdoorish as well, but it does look like you're going to be able to go inside some buildings. And then the last one would be Canyon for the Vikings, and this one obviously looks like it's going to be very outside-ish. It looks kind of like you're going to be in like sort of inside kind of the canyon, obvious enough, but there's going to be more combat in there. But it also looks like there's going to be some spots on top of the canyon where you can get out, fight around, throw some people off into the canyon, get some kills that way. It looks like this map is going to be a lot of maneuvering and such. Now we're going to talk about game modes. And the first game mode is called Dominion, and it's a 4v4 battle, and you have to break the opposing team's morale and then eliminate them. You do so by scoring points through killing enemies, capturing specific areas, and controlling them over time. So it's basically like Call of Duty's Domination, or it's like Battlefield's Conquest. Now the only difference is killing enemies supposedly will assist your team's score. Once a team reaches 1,000 points, the opposing teams break and can no longer spawn unless they kill opponents or recapture areas. A team wins by killing the last hero of a breaking team. So the next game mode is going to be Duel, and that's basically just a mano-a-mano kind of duel against one other single opponent. It's a best of 5 rounds, and you're fighting in an arena, so I'd assume it's maybe a smaller portion of one of the 6 maps that I laid out earlier. And it's basically just the fight, and that's about it, so whoever wins 3 out of the 5 matches is seen to be the winner. And the final game mode is going to be Brawl, and it's going to basically just be a 2v2. So it's kind of just like Duel, but it's a team of 2 against another team of 2 instead of just 1v1. So whoever takes out the other team first is the winner. So if it's your teammate taking out one and then he helps you take out the other, you win, and vice versa. I'll be making a separate video on the characters because there are 3 confirmed for each faction so far, and there is a 4th for each faction that has not been released of the information yet. So I'll be doing a separate video on those. But for now, that's all I've got for you guys. Thanks for watching.